First of all, I just want to give a shout out to Aryaman for setting this up. He is $AP set up as the speaker. Thanks for setting this up, Aryaman. I was actually first introduced to Praful by Anand. He is a listener here. Hi, Anand. We will add you as a speaker at some point if you want. Um, First of all, I'd like to start off by saying maybe we start off on a funny note that, Vihan, we all know Vihan, the bad boy of quant trading, the self-proclaimed bad boy of quant trading. In my experience, he's not a bad guy. He's actually a really nice person. So he calls you the Hrithik Roshan of algo trading. We'll just start with that. You care to comment on that?
Vihan is a funny guy. That's all.
Okay, well done. So, okay, so let's actually start with Praful's intro. Can you give us a short intro, bro? You can elaborate a bit on your Twitter bio, where you say you trade, you live, you sing, you sleep, or anything else. Just give us a bit of an intro of yourself.
I mean, for the last 1 year, that has been the life, man. I mean, I haven't been traveling much. Haven't been. I used to play cricket for my college and all that, but I've not been playing cricket and all that. So as of now, it's just trading, lifting, sleeping, pretty much of it. So
Singing भूल गया bro. Singing कहाँ करता है तू?
हाँ, सिंगिंग करता हूँ. अभी अपलोड नहीं कर रहा बस.
Got it. Nice. So I'm assuming you have a YouTube channel somewhere.
My YouTube channel is purely related to trading.
Got it. Chalo, theek hai. So let's segue to trading, right? I guess we probably want to start with asking you what is your educational background?
Raghav, I am a mechanical engineer from NIT Surathkal.
Got it.
And then I worked as a bureaucrat in a central PSU for 3.5 years before quitting the job and taking trading as a full-time profession.
Interesting, man. Interesting. So you started off as a bureaucrat after you graduated. What was that like, man?
It was I think like it was the golden time of my life, man. I mean, I'm not saying that current times are bad, like current times are equally exciting, but that was interesting. That was quite interesting. मतलब काफी ज़्यादा, like, because you're handling a big responsibility there, like अच्छा था. I mean, let's not get into the details, but it was quite exciting in all the ways, in all possible ways.
Got it. So we won't go into that, but let's start with your trading career, right? So when did you start trading?
I started in 2019.
And this
So
was while you were still working as a bureaucrat, or you had quit by then?
I was planning to quit by then. That is when I started to get into the nitty-gritties of trading. I was just like buying options here, there, losing money, making money. Just like, just the beginners phase I was going through. Even subscribe to some paid Telegram channels, all that shit. Like everything you can imagine.
Got it. So how were you introduced to it? Was it just something that you decided to pick up, or?
First thing is I saw one of my colleagues getting into investing. Like he was into investing. So I saw him going through some charts on his phone and all that, and then I got intrigued. But as a person, I'm quite close to the casinos and card games and stuff like that. So my entire college days I spent playing poker and rummy, and even when I was working, since I was posted in Belgaum, which is just like 100 kilometers from Goa, I used to be a frequent visitor to the casinos. So this probabilities and asymmetric risk reward and risk management, all that thing, like I was quite fascinated about. So that's how like I saw that okay, this is a place where I can actually enjoy while I work.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And this is certainly a vibe we get when I was actually going through your Twitter posts, and there's certainly, I certainly got a gambler's vibe from it. But it's good that you understand the math behind it, and it's really interesting to sort of understand that your intro to trading was downstream of first playing cards, gambling, etc. Right? That's pretty cool. So my question to you is, what did the first 6 months of your trading look like? PNL wise, psychology wise, give us something on that.
To be honest, my PNL of like let's say like half yearly PNL was never negative.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I see that a lot of people like blew their accounts multiple times in the first 5 6 months, first 1 year of their trading listing. But somehow I managed. Okay, I used to have small wins, and then I used to have a big loss. So the account just came back. I had to start from square one. So I did it multiple times, but never did I lose money from my own capital. So that is something. Even when I started option selling, when I was doing positional also, yes, I used to make like chota returns, and one big gap down or a big gap up used to take all the profits away.
Mm-hmm.
But quarter on quarter, I was never negative, at least pre-charges.
नाइस नाइस सो सीखने के लिए थोड़ा पैसा मार्केट में वापस दिया मान के चलो इट वाज ब्रेक
ना,
इवन
सीखने के लिए मैंने पैसे कभी नहीं दिया, सीखने के लिए शायद मैंने एफर्ट एंड टाइम दिया. इट वाज
राइट
लाइक टाइम कैपिटल एंड नॉट द एक्चुअल लाइक मनी कैपिटल.
राइट राइट सो मोस्टली break even money wise which is pretty damn good for somebody who has just begun how was the psychology behind it I take it that you were trading manually in a discretionary manner.
Yes, of course, yes.
So, what was the thought process behind those large losses that you just mentioned? You know, those small wins followed by a large loss that wipes out most of your gains.
So Raghav, like how I look at these losses, okay, even once in a while, even now I take losses, but now that the largest of the loss will be somewhere around 1.5, 2% max.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they come once in like 6 months or something, and I'm completely okay with it. And whenever that big loss happens, I I'm a little hard on myself. Usually I'm a self overcritical person. I
Mm-hmm.
let that in. तो मैं उससे मतलब मैं नजर नहीं हटाता. And I don't like okay fuck let's forget it or something. I let that sink in so that at least अगले 6 महीने तक जो मैंने mistake किया है वो same mistake नहीं होना चाहिए. And if I've done everything perfectly and if the market has handed that loss to me, I'm completely okay. I don't even think about it. तो reason ये है कि loss कैसे हुआ? Even after you following everything, if the market was extremely erratic that there was nothing that you could do, or there was an error from your end. अगर error मेरे end से है तो I let that sink in. अगर मेरा कुछ भी error नहीं है, if I'm happy with my execution, if the market has handed me that loss, then I just like shrug it over and just move on.
Nice, nice. So it seems like you have a process, and the error in this case would be that you didn't follow that process, or what would an error look like?
Most of the time, the error looks like me trying to take some unnecessary risk, undue risk. ठीक है,
Got
तो
it.
as you say that like there is a process, but that
Mm-hmm.
process mostly is around keeping my mark to market stable as possible. तो as cliched as it sounds, पैसे नहीं खोना है,
Mm.
पैसे नहीं खोना है. And since I'm on the option selling side, like I know मेरा ground कौन सा है, which is my batting pitch. So I'll be taking the risks only on those days. For example, 1 DT and 0 DT is where I take incremental risks. And
Inc-
on the other days when I don't even risk like 0.3, 0.4% of my capital, not even 0.3%. Like most of the time I get out at 0.3% loss.
Got it.
Don't
So by
argue with the
increment,
market. Huh,
sorry,
yeah.
sorry, by incremental risk, do you mean that if you have one day to expiry, you'll open the day small, and as the day progresses, you'll keep adding on to it, like in a pyramid kind of a fashion?
No. Basically, when you actually pyramid it, and especially when you are on a short wall side,
Mhm.
so what happens is, yes, you might get some IV spikes to add on your quantities at a much better price, but it also comes with an opportunity cost. What if like you entered just 20% of your quantity, and it happens to be a smooth decay day? Right.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
The prices are melting, and you're pyramiding at worse and worse prices. तो बीच में कभी IV spike आता है, तो then basically you're taking a hit on a bigger quantity and you'll completely give back whatever you have made. So मेरा approach mostly ये रहेगा कि my quantity for the day is fixed. तो मैं एवरेज आउट नहीं करता हूँ और पिरामिड नहीं करता हूँ या एज द टाइम प्रोग्रेस ऐसे में ऐड नहीं करता हूँ. बट फिर निफ्टी इज एन एक्सेप्शन. फिर निफ्टी को मैं धीरे 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 बिल्ड करता हूँ.
Got it. So what did you mean by incremental then?
हाँ, when I say incremental, तो for example, just like uh, driving a vehicle, मतलब for example, if I'm in loss, let's say my mark to market is in red,
Mhm.
आधा half% red पे है, तो my first approach is to close the day at break even. पहले
Mhm.
मेरा ये होता है कि once I usually लोग क्या करते हैं when they go into a negative MTM, there they'll try to go aggressive. मतलब क्लोज आ जाते हैं, एक्स्ट्रा क्रेडिट लेते हैं, ट्राई टू
Mhm.
सिट ऑन पैडल्स एंड ट्राई टू टेक सम अनड्यू रिस्क्स.
Mhm.
बट मेरा उल्टा है. व्हेन आई गो इनटू अ रेड एमटीएम, आई गो फार्दर अवे. द आइडिया इज ठीक है, अभी ये जो नेगेटिव एमटीएम है उसको पहले रिकवर करना है. एंड लेट्स से लाइक आई एम नाउ ड्राइविंग एट फर्स्ट गियर. नाउ वंस आई कम बैक टू कॉस्ट, I slowly increase the risk. How I increase the risk? There are multiple ways, right? You take a mild directional bias. With directional bias, the risk gets increased. Or you come closer on both the sides. You be non-directional and still take extra risk by coming closer to the market. And now, as the mark to market increases, as the mark to market goes deep in the green zone, then I start taking higher risks. Let's say like 2 o'clock ke aspas, I'll be sitting on a strangle as close as 50 points, or sometimes even straddle. But I
Got it.
never do that when I'm in red, because every point that I'm going to make, it is coming at a risk. Correct? मैं कुछ टेबल पे लगाना चाहिए, तब भी मेरा मार्केट मुझे कुछ देगा. But I
समझ गया.
don't want to I don't want to risk more when I'm already in the negative MTM.
Got it.
Because
Got it.
expiry पे कैसे होता है? Expiry पे कैसे होता है? All the OTM options have to invariably go to zero.
Yeah.
राइट. बट मेरा मार्क टू मार्केट का एक थ्रेशोल्ड है. अगर मेरा 1.5% या 2% जो भी उस दिन का सेट करता हूं, अगर वो टच होता है, आई डोंट आस्क क्वेश्चंस, आई हैव टू क्लोज. सो दैट जो ऑप्शन मैंने 12 रुपए, 13 रुपए, 15 रुपए, 20 रुपए मैंने काटा है, इट विल इवेंचुअली गो टू जीरो एंड प्रोबेबली आई माइट एंड इन ग्रीन. बट माई ओनली हार्ड एंड फास्ट रूल इज, मेरा अगर 2% रिस्क या जो भी मैंने डिसाइड किया उस दिन के लिए, अगर वो टच होता है तो मैं क्लोज कर दूंगा. तो माई फर्स्ट गोल इज नॉट टू रीच दैट लेवल. जब तक
Great.
मैं वो लेवल के अंदर रहूंगा, देर आर एंडलेस पॉसिबिलिटीज. कुछ भी हो सकता है. So that's why I said like my process is mostly hovering around keeping my mark to market stable. जितना stable हो सके उतना stable रखना है.
Fair enough. Fair enough. That's a really interesting way of approaching your trading as the day progresses, which is sort of like you're looking at essentially a time series of your M2M, right? And you're trying to keep it stable and sort of optimize it towards the green side. Naturally, green में है तो और green में लेके आना है. And your sort of capacity to take risk fluctuates with your M2M as a feature, where you're like, अगर मेरा M2M green में है, then I am happy to take more risks. अगर मेरा
Yes.
M2M अभी red में है, then I would, like then what you're doing is you're actually reducing your risk and trying to play safe to try and get it. You're making these small safe bets to try and get it to break even first. Did I get that right?
Yes, exactly. See, because I'm a full-time trader, and for me, more than protecting my capital, protecting my psychology is very important. Correct. मेरा अभी तक, for example, in the last 2 years or so, I've never had a red month. My
Nice.
worst month has been a break even post charges. ठीक
Nice,
है.
man.
प्री
Nice.
चार्जेस आई ऑलवेज हैड अ ग्रीन मंथ. सो मेरा ड्रॉडाउन अभी तक, मेरे ड्रॉडाउन 2.5% से ज्यादा कभी हुआ नहीं है. बिकॉज ऑफ विच माई साइकोलॉजी इज इन प्लेस.
That's awesome, man. I think doing
हाँ.
that in a discretionary context, I think is really, really interesting. And I think it all starts with a process, right? If you have a
हाँ,
process, like, yeah, go ahead.
because Raghav, like, see, what trading does is it reveals who you are. Correct.
Yeah.
So I have found out that I can't play as an underdog. मैं 10% ड्रॉडाउन से मैं वापस बाउंस मारूंगा, वो मेरे साइकोलॉजी से बैठता नहीं है. सो आई हैव टू मेक श्योर दैट माई साइकोलॉजी इज ऑलवेज इन द राइट प्लेस. तो मेरे को कैपिटल प्रोटेक्शन से ज्यादा मेरे को साइकोलॉजी प्रोटेक्शन ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो दैट वेन एवर, इवन इफ आई क्लोज एट अ ब्रेक इवन, आई वोंट बी हार्ड ऑन माई सेल्फ. Yes, in this process, I've given up a lot of gains. I've put a lot of points on the table. But that's okay for me. Because trading is like, how do I put it? It's your tailor fit shirt, right? Whatever
Yeah, yeah.
works for you, works for you.
Okay, so what I was saying was like Praful mentioned that he tries to optimize for psychology protection, like just to keep his psychology in check. And the interesting thing is the second order effect of that is capital protection, where not optimizing for capital protection actually leads to capital protection through his psychological protection framework. So that's something interesting I got from this. अच्छा अब कितना capital how much capital do you trade with Praful?
I have currently, like, my personal account has 1 CR, and I run algorithms for clients that is separate. And I mean, like, मेरा personal capital 1 CR है.
अच्छा अगर clients के लिए you run algos, मेरे भी पैसे ले लो bro. What's the minimum investment required for that?
The minimum investment is 25 lakhs, bro.
25 lakhs. Chal, I'll connect with you after this space, man. I'll get some backtest and live results from you, and then based on that, what is the methodology behind it? is it the same as like you'll fire orders through the broker API for your clients?
Yes, तो अभी फिलहाल के लिए ब्रोकर एपीआई के थ्रू ही फायर हो रहा है.
Got it. Got it. Fair enough. So we'll connect. I'll hit you up after this. Yeah.
Sure,
So
sure.
you have a mechanical engineering background, right? That's what you said.
Yes.
So what was the training like? How much of a software training did you get as part of that?
Zero.
Zero. Correct.
Zilch.
So are you a self-taught programmer?
No, I don't write the code.
Got it.
Basically, I have another friend of mine. We work as a team here. So he takes care of all the tech stuff.
Fair enough. And you help out with the strategy development side.
Yes, basically the strategies are an extension of my own trading methodology. So it's basically a VRP harvesting strategy, like if you know, like volatility risk premium harvesting.
Yeah.
So it's basically we are on the short wall side all the time, and they are coupled with some amount of complementing strategies because the current market regime demands that a VRP strategy needs to be coupled with some amount of directional strategies. Like any version of a 920 straddle, like you can do n number of variations of 920 straddle. Basically, 920 straddle is a directional strategy, right? So something coupled with a pure VRP strategy. When I say VRP, like we are always non-directional. So there
Correct.
are always two legs, and there are like 5 or 6 layers of rules, which makes the adjustments. Like कभी calls को push करते हैं, कभी puts को ऊपर लेके आते हैं. So all that sort of things.
So in a way, VRP explain कर दो यार लोगों को. Like give a small explanation. That would be cool.
Okay, so if I have to explain from ground up, so basically the premiums are factoring some risk, right? And what is the risk here for the premiums? It's the volatility. मतलब एक 400 पॉइंट दूर का कॉल 5 रुपए पे ट्रेड कर रहा है, लेट्स से ऑन अ वेंसडे, एंड 400 पॉइंट दूर का पुट 5 रुपए पे ट्रेड कर रहा है. सो दिस 5 rupee is the premium that you're giving for the risk, and the risk is volatility risk, right? So that's where
Yeah.
the volatility risk premium comes, and you're harvesting it. How do you harvest it? You're basically capturing the theta decay. So it's basically the sophisticated way of trying saying that bro मैं theta खाता हूँ. It's just like जैसे वेस्टर्न लोगों ने कीटो का चिपका है ना, मैं ऐसे आपको चिपका रहा हूँ.
Nice, nice. I like that. I like that sort of self correction and self reflection. कि बॉस ये तो बस एक फैंसी टर्म है. एंड ऑफ द डे मैं थीटा ही खा रहा हूँ. तो
हाँ, टीटा खा रहा हूँ, प्योर टीटा खा रहा हूँ बस.
So I'd just like to add to that a little analogy, which is, when you're selling downside puts, out of the money puts, the idea behind it is like you can think of it as selling insurance, where you're insuring somebody who's buying the put against a rare event, which in this case would be, like a gap down or a huge move down. How rare that event is, the volatility curve will determine, the current market conditions will determine, and essentially when Praful says this is he's when he mentioned VRP, the idea here is that because you are taking that risk of selling insurance against that rare event, the person who's buying that insurance product, buying that put in this case, is paying a bit of a premium for that because आप
Yes,
उसका risk ले रहे हो, right? And that's where the term premium in VRP comes. So
correct.
awesome. So this is sort of an interesting segue into our next topic, which is we started off with discretionary trading, and this is something that we understand you do. So we at AlgoTest, are not discretionary traders, and one of the biggest attractions of speaking to someone like Praful is to understand the discretionary world a bit more, and like to that end, the first question we would say is that you do both. You have algos that are running, which would be systematic, but you yourself have 1 CR capital that you said, which you trade in a discretionary manner. I guess even before the why, before the why you do both, the question would be how do you do both? Like I'll use a sort of a programming term here, which is context switching. Okay, like how does that context switch work? कि दोनों चल रहे हैं at the same time, discretionary and algos.
No, algo, once we have coded it, it's completely mechanical, right? So it's fully automated. Like I don't have to look at it. मुझे पूरा आज का डेटा भी मुझे पता नहीं है. Once the my tech guy sends me the graphs, and once the tech guy sends me the MTM curve and all that, then I'll understand, okay, आज algo ऐसे ऐसे perform किया है.
Nice, nice. Fair enough. I think that's in general how a systematic how a systematic trading strategy should be run, which is hands off. The data, you let the data guide you. You let the data guide your decisions, and if you coded up the algo, there should really be no need for human intervention. So now the follow up question is,
Raghav bhai, like Anand bhai wants to, I think Anand bhai wants to speak.
of course, of course. Hey Anand, we've added you to the
Yes.
speaker. Feel free to interrupt if
Vivek
you
ji is also
want
there.
to
We
add.
would love to hear from him as well.
Vivek ji is also here. That's exactly right.
Sure, I'm just listening right now. I'll
Yeah,
butt
we
in
don't
the middle whenever. But it's amazing to hear your
want to
drawdown and
take too
risk
much.
control, yeah,
We
Praful.
don't want
Really inspiring. Really inspiring.
Awesome, awesome. So back to our questionnaire, which is, um, so we actually had Jagan sir in our space a couple of weeks ago, and the way he operates is, he started off as a discretionary trader, and eventually what he realized for himself was that systematic returns and the way he trades in a systematic manner that dominated discretionary in such a manner that he has completely given up the discretionary side. Right now my question to you is, you are doing discretionary but you also have systematic. So
Correct.
I guess the question is, why are you still on the discretionary side?
See, I think मेरा जो सिस्टम जो बनाता हूँ ना, it's not based on data crunching. Okay, for example, if I come up with any hypothesis, if that hypothesis works right on the first go, I try to optimize it, or else उसको directly मैं discard ही कर देता हूँ. For example, most people what they do is they try to try different bunch of stuff, try to vary the different parameters, तो change कर they'll try to curve it. But मेरा ये है कि मैं data को मानता नहीं. Okay, because as I don't know, as bizarre as it sounds, मैं data को मानता नहीं. For example, for the last 1 year, the thing that we are running for the clients, ठीक है, ठीक ठाक मतलब कैपिटल पे मतलब क्लाइंट्स पे रन कर रहा है. We didn't even have the back test. My tech guy wanted to backtest the system that I was running, and I told him नहीं भाई, मतलब ये जो जैसे जो तरीका है, जैसे मैं ट्रेड कर रहा हूँ, it is the extension of that. जो एल्गो हमने बनाया है, जो सिस्टम हमने बनाया है, सो आई डोंट वांट टू डू द बैक टेस्ट. बट परसों मेरे को विहान ने बोला भाई एक बैक टेस्ट करके रख दो, तो मैंने बैक टेस्ट किया, तो द बैक टेस्ट वाज एग्जैक्टली मैचिंग द फॉरवर्ड टेस्ट ऑफ व्हाट वी रन. सो जो लोग बोलते हैं कि चलो मेरा जो सिस्टम जो है इट इज बेस्ड ऑन द बैक टेस्ट एंड नॉट माय डिस्क्रिशनरी एक्सपीरियंस और माय स्क्रीन टाइम, तो दैट इज काइंड ऑफ इट डजंट गिव मी कंफर्ट, राघव, इफ आई हैव टू पुट इट दैट वे. मेरे को कंफर्ट नहीं देता, बिकॉज if you look at the markets are printing brand new data set. I mean, have you ever saw a regime where the market was giving such an extended move in both the direction and then mean reverting? अभी market क्या कर रहा है? The markets are moving 200 points in one direction and then retracing 200 points. If you look at it on a macro scale, it is still a very sideways market, but with extended moves. Correct. तो हम लोग नॉन डायरेक्शनल एग्जैक्ट लेट्स से साइडवेज मार्केट क्या कैसे बोलते हैं? लेट्स से मार्केट 50 पॉइंट ऊपर गया, 50 पॉइंट नीचे आया, 50 पॉइंट ऊपर गया, 50 पॉइंट नीचे, दैट इज साइडवेज मार्केट. बट यहाँ पे भी साइडवेज मार्केट है, बट विथ एक्सटेंडेड मूव्स. ये जो 50 पॉइंट का जो व्हाट लेग था, दैट हैज बिकम 200 पॉइंट्स. And that's why we are calling it V-shape and N-shape market. But if you look at it, it is a mean reverting market with extended moves on either sides. Correct. So the point is the market will always print new data set. तो फॉर मी मेरा जो डिस्क्रिशनरी ट्रेडिंग करने का तरीका, आई मीन मेरा जो डिस्क्रिशनरी ट्रेडिंग करने का रीजन ये है कि इट गिव्स मी एन एज थ्रू माय मार्केट ऑब्जर्वेशन. जो मैं डिस्क्रिशनरी ट्रेडिंग इसलिए करता हूं बिकॉज अगर मैं अगले वाला स्ट्रैटेजी मुझे करना है, बैक टेस्ट करना है, तो उसका हाइपोथेसिस कैसे आएगा? मेरा स्क्रीन टाइम से ही आएगा ना. I can't randomly go and say चलो ऐसे strategy बनाते हैं. How can I get the hypothesis? Either I have to borrow that hypothesis from someone, or that hypothesis has to come from my own market observation. चलो भाई यहाँ पे एक alpha है, यहाँ पे एक edge मुझे दिख रहा है. Let's see whether it works. That rule whether there is an edge, जो system जो है पहले मेरे दिमाग में बनता है, and उसका जो precursor है, that is my screen time. करेक्ट. उसको मैं एक्सटेंड करता हूं. चलो भाई ये जो मैं मान रहा हूं कि चलो एक किया है, तो हैज इट वर्कड इन ऑल डिफरेंट मार्केट रिजीम्स? क्या कोविड क्रैश में जब विक्स 80 पहुंचा था तब काम किया था? जब विक्स 11 पे था, 10 पे था, 2009 में जब काम किया था, when there was a rising VIX regime तब काम किया था. So all those things that come to just confirm कि चलो भाई तुम्हारा जो हाइपोथेसिस है वो वैलिड है. बट हाइपोथेसिस आ रहा कहाँ से? स्क्रीन टाइम से ही ना. लाइक इफ यू, आई वांट टू गेट सम इनपुट्स फ्रॉम विवेक भाई एंड कपिल भाई आल्सो. लाइक अगर कोई कोई लोग मतलब सिस्टम चला रहे हैं, तो हाउ आर यू गाइस गेटिंग द आइडियाज फॉर द सिस्टम? लाइक हाउ आर यू गेटिंग द हाइपोथेसिस?
Yeah, Vivek sir, please go ahead.
Yeah, man, this is like the bang on thing, यार, in this field. मतलब because one view is like कि आप कई लोग ना डेटा को रन करते हैं, they may come up with something, but you don't. I mean, it's probably difficult to say whether it will work or not in future because उसमें आपका hypothesis क्या है, right? Like the underlying, which is something we always say. So I think this approach जो प्रफुल भाई ने अभी बोला कि like basically, you first have an idea and then you see whether वो चल रहा है या नहीं. अगर वो चल, right, even if it is volatile somewhat at a single strategy level, I believe then you can run baskets of strategies and to sort of minimize the portfolio drawdown and all. पर है ना, but basically that आपका conviction of sticking to that system even when in drawdown and all will be much higher, I feel. So bang on.
For example, राघव भाई, like I'll just try to give you an example, okay? तो अभी most of the people, like जो भी मतलब अभी system चला रहे हैं, especially on the retail side, it's mostly on the option selling side, ठीक है? और उनका जो alpha जो निकल के आ रहा है, 90% of their alpha is getting generated on 1DT and 0DT. मतलब जो उनका alpha आ रहा है option selling side से, उनका जो alpha आ रहा है Wednesday and Thursday पे, right? And Wednesday and Thursday पे जो उनका alpha आ रहा है, तो it's mostly coming from risk reward, nothing else. रिस्क रिवॉर्ड पे आ रहा है. मतलब आप स्ट्रैडल सेल किए, 30% स्टॉप लॉस रखे, मतलब द अदर साइड 70% मीट यू स्टिल हैव टू कैप्चर, एंड दैट इज रैंडम, करेक्ट? अभी मोस्ट ऑफ द पीपल व्हाट दे डू, दे कंटिन्यूअसली ट्रेल इट, राइट? अभी इफ यू लुक एट इट, दे आर कॉल्ड लाइक ओपन टारगेट स्ट्रेटेजीज, राइट? मतलब आप 920 स्ट्रैडल करते हो, दोनों तरफ 30% स्टॉप लॉस लगाते हो, एंड एक्सपायरी दिन पे इट वन साइड को पूरा छोड़ देते हो, राइट? बट इफ यू लुक एट द करंट मार्केट्स, जो 3 रुपए का ऑप्शन रहता है 12 बजे, which you think that bro ये कम 100% जीरो होने वाला है, that 3 rupees comes back to 60 rupees, correct? Now if you look at the current market regime, it is better to book the profits probably at 90% target. अगर आप 100 rupees पे कुछ ऑप्शन शॉर्ट किए हैं, 90% 9 और 10 rupees पे उसको कवर करना is a much better idea than to wait for that option to go to zero, because this market is a mean reverting market with extended moves in both directions. And ये जो idea कैसे आया? This thing has come from your discretionary trading and not from data crunching. आप डेटा क्रंचिंग करके भी आप इस पॉइंट पे पहुंच सकते हैं, बट आई वुड से दैट दैट इज द वे ऑफ कर्व फिटिंग, दैट इज द पाथ ऑफ कर्व फिटिंग.
Fair enough, fair enough. This is, I think, the big takeaway here is कि स्क्रीन के सामने बैठने का फायदा ये है that you are able to observe things, observe patterns, form hypotheses based on those observations, and then what you do is you let the data guide you in proving or disproving those hypotheses about trading, right?
Yes, yes.
शुरू
And
में
Absolutely,
जब
because
राघव
that's
भाई
what.
स्टार्ट किया था ना, सॉरी, आई थॉट कि एक एल्गो बन गया, बीच पे बैठेंगे और वो एटीएम पैसा छापेगा. राइट, बट ऐसा होता नहीं है.
विवेक भाई, आपको यकीन नहीं, आप यकीन नहीं मानोगे, एवरी मंथ द एल्गो गेट्स रिवाइज्ड, सम ऑफ द अदर थिंग्स गेट एडेड.
वाओ.
एंड मैंने बोल रहा था ना, लाइक लास्ट मंथ तक मैंने एल्गो विदाउट बैक टेस्ट मैंने चलाया है, एंड इट हैज नेवर रिटर्न्ड अ नेगेटिव मंथ, एंड द मैक्सिमम लॉस इन अ पर्टिकुलर डे इज 0.8%. पर डे लॉस 0.8% है, एंड इट हैज नेवर गॉन इनटू अ रेड मंथ. एंड मैंने जो बैक टेस्ट किया है वो विहान भाई, जो आपने
हम
बोल रहे हैं ना, बैड
हम भी
बॉय.
अपने क्लाइंट्स का थोड़ा पैसा भेजते हैं उधर.
श्योर श्योर.
no, that's really really interesting, man. The fact that hypothesis ऐसा था कि मतलब it points towards the strength in your observation skills about the market, that whatever system you came up with, and also there's kind of like a I would say a cocky confidence here, which we love, by the way, by saying I don't even backtest it. I won't even let the backtest affect what my hypothesis is. It is something that has been making money in a discretionary manner, and if coded correctly, if the translation is made from your own discretionary actions into actual software code, it should also make money. And the testament to that is what you're saying in terms of, चलो विहान के बोलने पे बैक टेस्ट किया तो समझ आ गया कि बॉस it was validated. Kudos, man.
देन राघव भाई एक और चीज है, देखो जब जैसे हम डिस्क्रिशनरी ट्रेडिंग पे अपने आप को जानना जितना इंपॉर्टेंट है, हु आर यू एंड व्हाट आर यू सीकिंग फ्रॉम द मार्केट एंड व्हाट आर योर वीकनेसेस, मुझे पता है कि मेरा वीकनेस क्या है, राइट? सिमिलरली यू नीड टू नो व्हाट इज द अल्फा ऑफ योर सिस्टम. बहुत सारे लोगों को पता भी नहीं है कि उनका अल्फा कहाँ आ रहा है. उनको पता है कि चलो भाई मेरा सिस्टम का रिटर्न इतना है, ड्रॉडाउन इतना है, मैक्स ड्रॉडाउन इतना है, ये है. बट आपको कोर आप उनसे पूछोगे कि भाई आपका एज कहां से आ रहा है, लोगों को पता नहीं है. तो इफ यू अंडरस्टैंड दैट व्हाट इज द एक्चुअल एज ऑफ योर सिस्टम, देन आपको पता है कि अगर खराब भी हुआ तो कैसे रिकॉग्नाइज रेक्टिफाई कर सकता है. बिकॉज ऑल इट नीड्स इज माइनर ट्वीक्स टू रेक्टिफाई अ सिस्टम. यू डोंट हैव टू कंप्लीटली स्क्रैप अ सिस्टम ऑफ. सो हाँ, सॉरी, आई वाज सेइंग कि लोग जो, अगर आपको कोई भी क्लाइंट आपको पैसे देते हैं ना, आई डोंट थिंक पीपल विल गिव यू बिकॉज ऑफ योर स्ट्रैटेजी. बिकॉज जो भी स्ट्रैटेजी है वो आज चल सकता है, कल नहीं चल सकता है. प्रोबेबली पीपल विल गिव यू बेस्ड ऑन योर फेस वैल्यू. उनको भरोसा इस पे है कि भाई अगर स्ट्रैटेजी काम करना बंद भी करेगा ना, भाई ने कुछ संभाल लेगा. दिस इज व्हाट आई बिलीव. दिस इज व्हाट आई.
That's exactly right, Manny. That it also speaks to, it's also sort of validated by a track record, right? One heuristic that people use, like an HNI person, one heuristic they're going to use before giving their money to somebody is looking at their track record. And the longer the track record, the more confidence the person who's sitting on capital, the HNI person, will have. Okay, boss, this guy has navigated the ups and downs and sideways markets. They've navigated the COVID crash. They've navigated things that happened before. Different market regimes that this person can navigate naturally means that there is an evolution of the strategy set of this person. So that's exactly right. It's more of the investment is on the process and the person than on the actual results of a current system at any point in time. बिल्कुल ठीक है.
यस राघव भाई, अभी देखो फॉर एग्जांपल इफ यू लुक एट एनी सिस्टम, ओके, अभी जो लोग जो बैक टेस्ट कर रहे हैं वो कौन सा साल का बैक टेस्ट कर रहे हैं? 2021 का कर रहे हैं, 2020 का कर रहे हैं, राइट? एनी शॉर्ट वॉल सिस्टम, राइट, विथ सम अमाउंट ऑफ रिस्क मैनेजमेंट. आप कुछ भी ऑप्शन सेल करते हैं एंड आपका रिस्क मैनेजमेंट थोड़ा भी ठीक है, all those strategies would have done phenomenally well in 2021 and especially in 2020, correct? But those strategies have stopped working here. When I say stopped working, I'm not saying that they have become negative expectancy models. They still have positive expectancy in them. But let's say किसी का return 50% है with a drawdown of 5%. That is the RMDD, what you call like return to max drawdown ratio, which is 10 in 2021, would now become 30% return with 8% drawdown. Correct. It is still returning 30%, but
Yeah.
at a slightly higher drawdown. So that RMDD value, which has gone down significantly. पहले 50% return with 5% drawdown, which is RMDD is 10, is now somewhere around 3.5 or something.
Correct.
So the stark difference is coming from the RMDD. आपको लग रहा है कि अरे यार लास्ट साल 50% रिटर्न दिया था, इस साल 30% दिया, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. बट लुक एट द ड्रॉडाउन आल्सो, नो, द ड्रॉडाउन हैज आल्सो गॉन अप.
Correct.
So if the return has come up by 50%, and if the drawdown has become double, your RMDD will go by 3/4 of a quarter. 1/4 हो जाएगा आपका RMDD.
That's right. तो इस स्टेज पे my question to you is कि आपके सिस्टमैटिक एल्गोस जो चल रहे हैं जहाँ पे आपका क्लाइंट का पैसा लगा हुआ है, राइट? तो
Yes.
what is the process behind tweaking these systems? Is it driven by results or is it driven by changing hypotheses?
The hypothesis on a macro remains the same. Okay, so we have decided that, bro, we'll be on the short wall side no matter what, and we'll be non-directional. तो risk premium harvesting ही करते हैं, but we have some filters. जो filters change होता है. For example, let's say on a day where the premiums have melted by already 30% overnight, it doesn't make sense for you to enter right at the open. Correct. Or even if you enter, then you can't enter at a closer premiums. You might have to go a slightly high. You have to go with a wider premiums, wider strangles, and then you have to keep risking on from the other side, so that अगर एक occasional IV spike भी आता है, you use that IV spike to come closer, and then the melting of the premium will happen, and then we'll get the decay. Basically it's something like that. So all like minor filters जो है वो filters update होते रहते हैं with changing market regime. For example, let's say like we know that mm, today evening FOMC meeting is there or RBI meeting hai. Though we know that okay it's a 1DT and we are expecting some good amount of DK, we don't go with full position. We'll go with only half position because we know that there will be like some random IV spikes here and there.
Right. So isme you're building an overnight position, but you've reduced your quantity.
No. We don't take any overnight positions. Everything is intraday as of now.
Got it. So ये मान के चलो कि there's 1 day to expiry. आज Wednesday है, and you know कि Wednesday night को there is going to be FOMC की meeting, right?
Yes.
So let's actually run through this, right? So you are an option seller. You want to harvest the volatility risk premia जो है, and in order to do that, let's actually run through this in terms of कि अभी मार्केट चल रही है, फॉर एग्जांपल बैंक निफ्टी चल रहा है 38,000 पे चल रहा है, जस्ट एज एन एग्जांपल, राइट? So what is the starting point? What is the starting signal that makes you put on a position, and what position would that be?
See, we trade intraday strangles majorly and coupled with some directional systems, which kind of complement, which kind of smoothens out the equity curve. All right. So now, in this market, especially in this regime, where the implied volatility is much lower than the realized moves, we should always be careful and we should always start with a risk averse approach. Okay? So we'll be starting out with a risk averse approach where we'll be starting with probably 10 delta options. We'll be shorting 10 delta options and we'll be timing the IV spikes to come from the other side. All right. Now, let's say when there is already a premium spike, let's say we start off with, let's say there's a huge gap down. Tomorrow there's a huge 300-point gap down and there's already been an IV spike. Then we'll take a higher risk positions. Like we'll start off with the closer strangles because we know that the probability of initial crush is very high. Because IV spike कैसे हो रहा है, जो overnight जो position लेके गए हैं option sellers, their exits are kind of fueling the IV spike on that side. Right. तो we'll be capitalizing on that. Probability ये है कि ज्यादातर जब ये होता है तो crush होने का probability ज्यादा है. I'm not saying that the IVs might remain. I mean IVs cannot remain high throughout the day. हो सकता है. There is a cascading down move. Those IVs will remain high, or probably they might even shoot up.
Yeah.
But it's about probability, and it's about logic. मतलब logically क्या है? Are we getting a better price? For example, मेरे को iPhone 1.2 lakhs पे मिलना है. किसी भी रीजन से 80K पे मिल रहा है मुझे, मैं ले लूंगा. Sure, I don't know कि वो 80K 70K होगा या 60K होगा, but मुझे ये पता है कि from the benchmark it is a good deal, something like that, on a very crude note.
Yeah, fair enough. So another interesting observation here is just sort of a strike adjustment based on an overall IV level here, right? IV spike aata hai, then you're like, chalo boss, I'm building strangles. Let me get a little bit closer to at the money, and when wall is low, then you're further away.
Yes.
You're also further away during times when there is an expected event. Did I get that right? जैसे FOMC का example था हमारा.
See, Raghav, like I would just say that, okay, our risk either increases or decreases depending on multiple factors. Okay. Now, how do you increase or decrease the risk? There are multiple ways, right? Either you increase by getting leveraged. By that way, you increase your risk, or you will either distance yourself from the strangles, either closer or further away. That will increase or decrease the risk. Right. मतलब वो AC का टेम्परेचर जैसे थोड़ा ऐसे कम करेंगे तो कम हो जाएगा, ज्यादा करेंगे तो ज्यादा हो जाएगा. So there are couple of different ways to increase or decrease the risk. So I would say whenever we know that okay, realized volatility might be very high than the implied volatility, then we would go on a lower risk side. If we know that okay, there is already a good implied volatility, even if realized volatility is equal or slightly less than the implied volatility, then we'll be making a good money on that day.
Fair enough. Super interesting, man. Super interesting. The adjustment of strikes based on a volatility, like overall implied volatility estimate. And this like IV estimate, जिसके basis पे you sort of make these adjustments. This is you looking at VIX or you looking at specific options की IV.
I don't think VIX has any कुछ लेना देना नहीं है weekly options में.
So
Weekly options,
specific.
VIX is an after effect, na?
Mm-hmm. Correct.
VIX,
So specifically, you're looking at IV charts. What are you looking at?
we look at premiums itself. I believe that everything is priced in the premiums, and whatever jo we are trying to get fancy here by calling it IV, gamma, delta, and all that, it is all coming from it's a derivative of premiums.
Got
Correct.
it.
Premium से ही निकला हुआ है. So I believe that everything is factored in the price. So we look at the price and we deduce. I mean, we have our own methods of deducing the IV, and we work from there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So operating out of price space and using price or some transformation of price as a proxy for something actually that a lot of people do. In fact, the 920 straddle is also sort of that. Like there's other people who are running indicators on price, the price charts of options, and not looking at IV space, not looking at wall space, and a lot of these there's a lot of बोलते हैं there's FinTwit, then there's VolTwit, where these quant traders are there who use vol to trade, and sometimes it breaks their brain. And to be honest, it broke my brain as well because I come from a vol trading background, and when I saw the kind of strategies that were being run in the Indian market, it sort of did break my brain. I was like, boss, how is this possible? But I am fully a believer now, having built AlgoTest and seen these strategies actually make money. Sort of also trying to understand the underlying dynamics of why that's happening. But that's exactly right, and that heuristic does make sense. Okay, you use price as a proxy for IV, and based on that, you make your decisions. Awesome. So
Yes.
What we actually wanted to do was, I was going through your Twitter profile again, and occasionally you tweet about your positions for the day, and sort of you give like a sort of a summary of that. So we've taken the last 5 or 6 tweets of yours where you tweeted about the market, and we thought we'd do a little prasang sahit vyakhya of your tweets to just get our users to understand a little bit of your negative 70K to here, those pullbacks. Usme you've made an injured face. So last minute adventures on the 17.8 put stopped me thrice and then decayed fully. Anyway, September is decent for now. So can you just explain? You started with an initial negative 70K. Where did this negative 70K come from, bro?
It was in the initial. See, even my manual trading is also purely non-directional, right? So I never have, let's say, like I start off with call side and put side, and I never cut like put side and let the call run.
Mm-hmm.
I either constantly roll my puts away or roll my calls down or something like that. It's purely non-directional. So when 17K broke, so everyone who was expecting that, okay, 17K might get tested and then from there the market might push up, but that didn't happen. We broke down 17K and we headed all over to 16,950. So that kind of increased the puts and overall spreads itself increased.
Mm-hmm.
So because of which, since I had already taken my quantity for the day, there was no way for me to either average out or add on to the quantities at higher IVs or something. So that was an IV spike which I had to endure.
Right.
So that is where the minus 70K came. By from the quantities, it was like somewhere around 6 points or something.
Just a comment here. So if we see Praful mentioned about averaging, and sometimes people say averaging is usually bad, right? But like end of the day, I think he's a fantastic risk manager. So like whatever he does, he knows ki full quantity ki jagah आधा आधा liya, right? I mean, basically, then even if you average, as long as you're managing risk, it's okay.
I mean, see, there are like a couple of hypotheses where in the current regime of the markets where there is a clutter on the short wall side. I mean, there is a excess supply, correct? मतलब बहुत सारे लोग option selling में आ चुके हैं, because of which the implied IVs are fairly low compared to the realized moves. So यहाँ पे एक hypothesis निकल के आती है कि why to enter right at 916 or before 920. So why can't we build the quantities in a staggered way throughout the day. So we then like I was like, bro, it's not gonna work. That was my gut instinct. And then we back tested it. And then we saw that even if you had gone with full quantity initially itself, or you had built the quantities in a staggered way throughout at different timestamps, both resulted in the same equity curve. The reason being, there is an opportunity cost. When your cash is sitting idle and when you're going with just 20% of the quantity, what if that day happens to be a wall crush day? Right? You're leaving a lot on the table. And then you're adding on the quantity where the wall has already gotten crushed. तो थोड़ा भी मतलब इधर उधर बीच में रैंडम स्पाइक मार देता है, then probably that part of your trade gets pushed out. So when you're saying that okay, we can enter staggered way because the IVs are much lower than the RB, it comes with an opportunity cost.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, just going through this tweet of yours, you said the 17.8 puts stopped me thrice and then decayed fully. I think you mean the 16.8 put, or do you mean the 17? Did you actually mean the 17.8?
16.8. Okay, my bad.
No
अभी
worries.
मतलब like we can't believe that the market's already like crossed 17K ना, so अभी भी 17.8K के hangover में ही है.
Anchoring चल रही है वहाँ पे. तो nice man, nice. So what was the adjustment here? So initial 70K से तुम नीचे आए, like or rather you were down 70K, right? And then what were these last minute adventures on the 16.8 put?
Nothing. I mean, I tried to short the puts where I thought that okay, this is purely based on supply and demand, and it's because of some people like getting short covered on the 16,800 puts. So I tried to short them at 8, tried to keep the stop loss at 10. So it hit like 3 times or something. So I lost around 6 points there, and after that I was like, okay, chalo chhod do, because I took that risk because I was up by a good amount. Like I was up by somewhere around 1.2% for the day, and that's why I took that risk. As I said, bola na, like when I'm in good green, I try to take additional risk. Let's say if
Nice.
this thing had worked, if this 800, if 16,800 puts hadn't stopped me out thrice, even if they had stopped me twice, and if the third time it would have, if it had gone to zero as it did, so I would have been like up by 1.5% or 1.6% or something. But it didn't work out. Like I got stopped out thrice and I gave up. And after that, I had to short them like after like when it came down below 1 rupee or something. I'm like, chalo bhai, abhi kar lete hain.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Um, okay, cool. So we'll go through your previous एक कल का tweet. Let's go through that. So you made 20K, you made 19K, and you are saying that you got trapped on calls multiple times, and now with this swing break, puts might gain some. So let's hear the story of the getting trapped on calls first.
Um, See, when you talk about the option prices and the spot, right, there is always some sort of a correlation, right? Usually we expect that the option prices don't breach their respective swings before the spot breaches the respective swings. Correct?
Fair
Especially
enough.
close to 1DT, especially on 1DT or especially on expiries. Correct. तो कल क्या हो गया था, because of I don't know like excess short covering or something, I got pushed out of the calls like twice or something, and then at that point of time the puts had absolutely no value left, and I had to say that okay, agar down move aata hai तो the puts will blow up, which did happen after my exit. I exited at a decent price, and the puts which I exited at somewhere around 16 or something, they blew up all the way to 34 or something. That's where they ended, if I'm not wrong. 16,700 puts. See, as I said, Raghav, I might have left some points on the table, but when the psychology is not right, there is no point in fighting with the market. As I said, my important thing is protecting the psychology. And I also said that in this process, I leave a lot of points on the table.
Yeah. I think the interesting thing is, in real time, sort of being in tune and understanding, okay, boss, like these events have happened, and maybe I'm going on. This is a poker term, which is tilt, which is, you may be a good poker player, but sometimes what happens is after you take a couple of bad beats in the middle of play, what you'll do is your decision making will become suboptimal. And one of the
Exactly.
side effects of being on tilt is that you are unable to recognize that your decision making is suboptimal. यहाँ पे like
Correct.
one
Correct.
term that people use is like revenge trading here, right? Yeah, I just started
Yes.
revenge trading. So I think this is something that Vivek sir also mentioned about you. The fact that like risk management, which is downstream of sort of understanding and having a pulse on your psychology in a real time manner. I think that is super interesting, and maybe this is something that we should talk about rather than going through your next tweet. But the question is, how do how do traders like us, how do we sort of exercise this psychology muscle? Like, you are a bodybuilder, but it seems there is a bit of a heavy bodybuilding happening on the psychology side as well. So the question is, how do we exercise this psychology muscle to be able to recognize in real time, okay, boss, like something is up. I'm not being my best self right now, so might as well take a step back.
Okay, I'll try to give an example. Okay, Raghav bhai. For example, आप कितने drinks के बाद आप टुन हो जाओगे? You know that, right? My capacity is this much, right? So now, as a rational person, do you try to increase your capacity, or do you say that okay, bro, मेरा capacity 2 pint है, जो भी 3 pint है, कुछ भी है, तो उसके बाद मैं stop करूंगा, right? You know your zone. Correct. So my approach here is instead of trying to work on your weakness, because that weakness ना, जो भी आपका psychological weakness जो है, आपका psychology के हिसाब से आप जैसे behave कर रहे हैं, it is not like, it has not, you have not developed it over 6 months or 1 year. It has come from a lot of your childhood experiences, the way you have grown, your upbringing, आपका financial status कैसा था, उसके हिसाब से आपका money के साथ जो relationship है वो build होता है. Correct. That's where the reaction of yours to your MTMs come into picture. Correct. आप negative MTM देके कैसे react करोगे, profit देके कैसे react करोगे. It's not just like last 6 years or 7 years. I mean, last 6 months or 7 months or 1 year का जो thing. It has come all the way from your childhood. So instead of tackling that, the easier way out is, bro, मेरे को पता है कि इस zone के बाद ना I'll start losing my rationale. So that is the point where I have to come out of the trade. जो आप बोल रहे थे ना, टिल्ट, वो टिल्ट जोन में पहुंचने से पहले यू हैव टू गेट आउट. दैट इज व्हाट आई डू. आई मीन, आई एम नॉट सेइंग दैट दिस इज द राइट वे. इट वर्क्स फॉर मी.
Fair enough. I think I really like that analogy of you know कि आपको खुद पता है कि कितनी ड्रिंक्स के बाद आप टुन हो जाते हो, लेकिन प्रॉब्लम, मेरी तो प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि if my limit is 5 and I'm at 2 or 3, then at 2 or 3 I'll sort of figure out कि बॉस मेरी लिमिट अब 7 या 8 हो जाएगी, क्योंकि मजे आ रहे होते हैं तो ड्रिंक्स चल रही होती हैं. Anyway, this is like, but I really like this analogy. The idea here is कि before you get into, before you start trading during the day, if you have an idea of कि at what level will my, and this is something, if you, I guess, for discretionary traders, and this is something that I am just getting into now from a discretionary trading point of view. It seems that maybe there's a systematic trader in me that says, okay, before I start trading in the day, I probably want to have these sort of internal checkpoints at every like half an hour or 1 hour or something, where I'm like, what, how am I feeling right now? ठीक है, चलो संभाल लिया जा सकता है, चलो आगे बढ़ते हैं. जो मेरे जोन में मैं, if I can handle it, I'll handle it. If I can't, then I won't. So what we'll do now, Praful, is there are a lot of questions. A lot of people have requested to ask you questions. So we'll open the floor to questions, guys.
प्रफुल भाई, माय क्वेश्चन इज कि आप स्टॉप लॉस कैसे डालते हो, क्योंकि आजकल फ्री ट्रेड इतना आता है ना कि उसमें ही सब कुछ निकल जा रहा है.
अभी फ्री ट्रेड तो हो नहीं रहा यार. इट्स जस्ट दोज आर गामा मूव्स. ठीक है, वो फ्री ट्रेड्स नहीं है.
प्रफुल भाई, एक्चुअली
फ्री ट्रेड
में आज मैंने लगाया था 16,750 के पुट पे. मैंने स्टॉप लॉस लगाया था 14 का, 14 रुपीज का, और वो एक्चुअली में उसमें चार्ट में मैक्स टू मैक्स 12.5 गया है अराउंड 12 o'clock.
उतना तो भाई देखो, उतना तो होता ही है. ठीक है, lot of times even the charts won't capture every tick. All right, so this is something you have to understand. Charts don't capture each and every tick. तो अगर चार्ट पे सिर्फ 13 कैप्चर हुआ है, आपका स्टॉप लॉस 13.5 या 14 पे भी हिट हुआ है, that's quite possible.
So my question is that कि प्रफुल भाई, हमें लगाना चाहिए स्टॉप लॉस या नहीं? Means
भाई देखो, there are again like multiple hypotheses. Either you will be killed with a single stab, or it's death by 100 cuts or 1000 cuts. तो आप स्टॉप लॉस लगाओगे तो बार बार आपका स्टॉप लॉस हिट होगा. अगर आप स्टॉप लॉस नहीं लगाओगे तो एक दिन एक कैस्केडिंग डाउन मूव आएगा, जहां पे आपको काटना था 10 रुपए पे, आप काटोगे 50 रुपए पे. करेक्ट. So there is no free lunch, man. I mean, like, you have to make peace with both of things. So I think like I'm at this point now, like I'm remembering the tweet of Yogeshwar Pal. I think like a lot of you guys remember Yogeshwar Pal. तो उसका एक tweet याद आ रहा है. तो he says that Market is a place where you trade in a way in which you're very comfortable to lose money. आप किस प्रोसेस से पैसे खोना आसानी से खो सकते हैं, दैट इज द वे शुड बी ट्रेडिंग.
Hello.
Hi, can I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Praful, sir. How are you? Hi, Chintan. Hi, Raghav. Everybody. Hello, everybody. All listeners and hosts. मेरे को मेरे एक्चुअली 3 क्वेश्चन है. सबसे पहला तो दिवाली पे सोन पापड़ी खानी नहीं खानी, क्योंकि सबसे पहले हमारा स्टार्ट हुआ था कि डाइट से रिलेटेड. जस्ट फॉर फन. नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन मेरा है कि सर एक बात बताओ, जैसे आप फिन निफ्टी के अंदर यू आर अ प्रोमिनेंट ट्रेडर, मतलब आई सी योर ट्वीट्स, आप फिन निफ्टी काफी अच्छा ट्रेड करते हो. मेरे को ये बताओ सर कि जैसे कि अभी अगर मेरे को कोई स्ट्रैटेजी एल्गोरिदम फिन निफ्टी पे करनी हो, अब उसका डाटा होगा लिमिटेड, 2 महीने 3 महीने मैक्सिमम 4-5 महीने की उसमें लिक्विडिटी है, तो डाटा आर नॉट दैट गुड. तो उसके लिए एल्गोरिदम हम एल्गोरिदम पे ट्रस्ट कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते, या हमें थोड़ा वेट करना चाहिए. और मेरा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन है कि जैसे आप जब अपना वो ट्रेड करते हो, आप कई बार आप और सुरेश बंदी भाई व्हाट यू डू इज आप अर्ली एग्जिट ले लेते हो मार्केट से. तो आप जब अर्ली एग्जिट लेते हो तो क्या सिर्फ आप अपनी डिस्क्रिशनरी से अर्ली एग्जिट लेते हो, क्या आप अपना एल्गो भी बंद कर देते हो तब?
ना वंस ओके, आई विल आंसर वन बाय वन. सोन पापड़ी अरे खाओ भाई, इतना भी मतलब क्या रिस्ट्रिक्शन, मैं तो सब खाता हूँ. मैं सब मतलब स्वीट स्वीट सब खाता हूँ मैं. लाइक इट्स नॉट लाइक आई एम नॉट ऑन लाइक एनी स्ट्रिक्ट डाइट और समथिंग. माई ओनली प्रॉपर मील इज ब्रेकफास्ट. ब्रेकफास्ट मेरा 100% स्ट्रिक्ट रहेगा. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दैट आई ईट एवरीथिंग. आई एम अ साउथ इंडियन. 2 वक्त में पूरा दबा के राइस खाता हूँ. एंड लाइक आई ईट स्वीट्स. लाइक माई सिस्टर इज अ गुड शेफ. लाइक शी कुक्स रियली वेल. लाइक शी कुक्स ऑल फ्राइड फूड्स एंड ऑल दैट. आई ईट एवरीथिंग. ठीक है. तो ऐसे रिस्ट्रिक्ट करने से कुछ मतलब नहीं है. एंड टू आंसर योर सेकंड क्वेश्चन, फिन निफ्टी का जो अगेन लाइक इट कम्स डाउन टू द फैक्ट दैट भाई आप 6 महीने के डेटा में आप क्या ही पैटर्न ढूंढोगे. फर्स्ट थिंग. ओके, आप जो भी मतलब इसको जो भी मतलब एक कर्व फिट करके आप कुछ भी मतलब स्ट्रैटेजी बनाने बनाने को ट्राई करोगे, इट इज द सैंपल स्पेस इज वेरी स्मॉल. तो इससे आपको कुछ कुछ मिलेगा ही नहीं. सो फर्स्ट थिंग इज डोंट इवन बॉदर बैक टेस्टिंग फिन निफ्टी. Okay, so Fin Nifty is still an amateur instrument. It is still not even liquid for the algos to be run. ठीक है. अभी lot of like good brokers, including Zerodha, they are not even allowing market orders. So as of now, running algos on Fin Nifty, at least till some big money flow comes into it. So now that the NSE is bringing in 50 strikes, which should increase the liquidity in Fin Nifty, probably uh, being very optimistic, probably 6 months down the line, you'll have a good amount of liquidity to start running the algos. Because क्या है ना, इधर आप चेज एल्गोरिदम भी लगाओगे ना, फिन निफ्टी पे मतलब गामा स्पाइक्स इतना ज्यादा रहता है, मैं ही खुद परेशान होता हूँ. राइट मेरे को 10 रुपए पे काटना रहता है, बट मैं स्टॉप लॉस नहीं लगाता हूँ, थिंकिंग दैट ओके आई प्लेस द स्टॉप, आई प्लेस आई मीन आई प्ले बेस्ड ऑन स्पॉट लेवल्स. बट स्पॉट ब्रीच होने से पहले ये 10 रुपीज से 14 रुपीज चला जाता है. तो एज ऑफ नाउ, playing in Fin Nifty, though I do it because I'm doing it just for like experimentation purpose. तो मैं I'm completely okay. मेरे को कुछ पैसे नहीं भी आएगा month on month, ठीक है, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, ब्रोकरेज दूंगा, पैसे दूंगा. I'll just try to experiment with Fin Nifty. But as of now, if you want to trade short on the short wall side on Fin Nifty, I don't think it's a good instrument. I'm being open here. ठीक है, आप ट्राई कर सकते हैं. यू विल ट्राई टू गेट सम इनसाइट्स बाय ट्रेडिंग मोर ऑन फिन निफ्टी विथ लिमिटेड साइज. बट अभी फिन निफ्टी कैसा है, द volatility is something similar to bank nifty, but premium similar to nifty है. Correct. तो realized volatility is at least 4 to 5 times than the implied volatility. So it doesn't make sense for fin nifty because every fin nifty expiry दोनों तरफ के options at least एक बार 1:10 हो जाता है. तो how can you handle being on a short wall side? So I don't think it's a good idea to start trading Fin Nifty, at least through algos. Manually आप trade कर सकते हैं with your discretion, but I don't think it's a right time to deploy algos. And I forgot your third question.
Actually, maybe we'll get third question. Viranja, if you're there, you can request to speak again. But I think
It
Doc
was
Leo.
about discretionary
Okay.
exits at the end during the
Ah,
middle of the
Okay.
day. Yeah, how do you make that decision? Does your algo also stop?
I think no. The algo doesn't stop. The algo, once the algo starts for the day, it's done. Like it either comes out at the stipulated time, either it hits the target, or if it has to take a stop loss, it takes the stop loss. We don't stop the algo in between. But I take the early entry again. I mean, early exit based on the same thing, right? Whenever I take an early exit, yes, there is a probability that I might be leaving some points on the table, but 50% of the time it also saves me from taking a big loss on those IB spikes. I mean,
Hello.
see, whenever the
Sorry,
IB
sir.
spike happens, I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Doc Leo, you can go. You were next.
Yeah. Good evening, Mr. Praful.
Hi, hi.
I'm a big fan of yours.
I've been seeing your tweets, like you've been doing quite
Yeah,
well.
I keep on
Kudos,
watching
man.
you almost on every expiry of Nifty and Bank Nifty.
No, he has been doing phenomenal. Like congrats, like
Uh,
kudos to you.
that's why I keep on bothering you. And but first of all, you have got the best thing. Instead of wealth, you have got the health. So it's please keep it up. Keep working on your health as always.
Coming from a doctor, thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's why. This is the big thing. You know? Wealth is a secondary issue. Primary issue is the health, and that is you are doing good. And best wishes for you.
Thank you, thank you.
So, कोई
सर
question?
मैं हाँ यस सर तो मुझे यही पूछना है सर आपसे कि बैंक निफ्टी एक्सपायरी वाले दिन है ना मैं बैंक निफ्टी ही ट्रेड करता हूँ तो
Okay.
मेन मतलब कौन सी स्ट्रेटजीज होती हैं स्ट्रैडल्स होती हैं स्ट्रैंगल्स होती हैं या ओटीएम्स होती हैं जस्ट वन वर्ड फ्रॉम यू
Yes.
मींस
See,
कि
I think, yeah, when you're trading from a short wall side, okay, so I can put all the strategies into just two baskets. One pure non-directional strategy and a directional strategy. आप जो भी straddle खेलते हो with one side stop loss. अगर एक side stop loss hit हो जाता है तो you'll keep trailing the other leg. That is a directional strategy. Correct. You can do it on straddles, you can do it on strangles, you can do it on inverted strangles, like multiple time entries, multiple stop loss levels, multiple target levels, whatever. That all those systems come in one basket. And when you talk about like pure discretionary, I mean pure non-directional trade where you're trying to capture the wall crush or theta decay, basically you're trying to trail your whatever position you have based on a combined premium. Correct. For example, you have shorted a straddle at probably Bank Nifty के terms पे 300 rupees पे short किए हैं, and if it spikes to 350 you're coming out, and if it goes to 270 you're trailing your stop loss to 300, 250 पे गया तो 270 को ऐसे ऐसे आप ट्रेल करते जाओगे as a combined premium where you're trying to capture pure theta.
right sir.
Correct.
Right.
Those are the only two baskets as of now, and there can be like mix and match.
Okay. Means there have to be different strategies to be deployed depending on the market condition, right?
First of all, like market conditions का जो filter है वो discretionary way पे ही बनेगा, या आप मैकेनिक कर सकते हैं बट उसका hit rate around 50 to 60% ही रह सकता है.
ठीक नहीं एक्चुअली आई एम अ डायरेक्शनल प्लेयर नॉन डायरेक्शनल तो बिल्कुल नहीं हूं मैं आई थिंक
Okay.
हाँ आज भी आई हैड अ 5% इन बैक निफ्टी बट
Wow.
that is I took directional trade. So do you justify it in the long run? It is justifiable on scaling up.
Yes, it is justifiable, but at the same time you should be ready for some big drawdowns as well.
If I
I'm sorry.
Sorry about that. I think he was he's still there. एक बार फिर से request कर देना sir. Lakshay, you can go next in the meantime.
First of all, Praful sir, I would really want to thank you because I have learnt a lot from you. And sir, I have two questions from you. That what are the margins you use to sell one lot of Nifty, and does that vary with different days? For example, like we need 1,20,000 to sell one lot of strangle in Nifty. So do you change that margin on day basis from like Friday to Wednesday? And my
Yes.
second question to you, sir, is that what are your ROI expectations per month?
Okay. So to answer your first question, yes. See, I know my battleground, right? When you're on a short wall side, especially if you're trying to eat theta, your best friends are Wednesdays and Thursdays. तो मेरा risk और मेरा position size ज्यादा रहेगा on Wednesdays and Thursdays, right? तो usually अभी आजकल Wednesdays में हर बार मतलब अपना पॉवेल साहब आके लगा रहा है हमारा, so that's why even on Wednesdays I'll be going unhedged. But on Thursdays I'll use the margin benefit and I'll trade somewhere around 50,000 rupees पे एक lot trade करता हूँ मैं. on Nifty, and on all the non-expiry days, probably like Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, I'll go unhedged. That is 1.2 lakhs. All right.
Doc Leo, you want to finish your question?
Hello.
Doc Leo, sir, just finish your question.
No, I just have to compliment Mr. Praful. Thanks a lot, sir. I just have to manage my drawdowns. That will be sufficient for me. Thanks a lot for the wonderful advice.
Oh, yeah. Thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thanks. Okay. Have a nice day, sir.
The Twitter profile with a star. Please unmute yourself and ask your question.
नमस्कार प्रफुल्ल जी।
हाय।
मैं आपसे ये जानना चाह रहा हूँ कि मान लीजिए एक ट्रेड में मेरा 30 पॉइंट का स्टॉप लॉस है और 60 पॉइंट का टारगेट है, ठीक है। मैं ट्रेड में एंटर होता हूँ, 30 पॉइंट का स्टॉप लॉस मेरा लगा हुआ है सिस्टम में। मैं इस स्टॉप लॉस को कब ट्रेल कर सकता हूँ? आइडियल वे आपके हिसाब से क्या होना चाहिए कि जो मेरी जहां से मैंने लिया है उससे कितना ऊपर जाए जब मैं इसको ट्रेल करूं?
If you see, it depends on the time frame you're trading, but irrespective of the time frame, this current market doesn't give you smooth trends. ठीक है, आज का मार्केट में पुल बैक्स काफी तेज आ रहा है, राइट। इवन इफ यू ट्रेल योर स्टॉप लॉस एट 1:1, तो जब आपका 30 पॉइंट का टारगेट अचीव हुआ है एंड आप स्टॉप लॉस को -30 से लेकर 0 पे आप ट्रेल करोगे, there is a 70% probability that it might come and hit, because that's what the market has been lately. Pullbacks are sharp, the pullbacks are steep. तो यूजुअली लेट्स से आप किसी ट्रेंड के साइड में ट्रेड करना चाहते हैं, बट इट्स नॉट द केस विथ रिवर्सल्स। अगर आप रिवर्सल्स पकड़ते हो इस मार्केट में, यू आर बीइंग रिवॉर्डेड रियली वेल, बट इफ यू आर ट्राइंग टू गो विद द ट्रेंड, द पुलबैक्स आर रियली हार्ड एंड दीस पुलबैक्स विल थ्रो यू आउट। ट्रेलिंग स्टॉप लॉस आपका हिट कर ही देगा।
मेरा ट्रेडिंग स्टाइल ये है कि या तो मैं रिवर्सल ट्रेड करता हूँ या तो मैं पुल बैक को ट्रेड करता हूँ ट्रेंड की डायरेक्शन में, ठीक है। तो मेरा जो
अगर आप
एंट्री,
रिवर्सल्स ट्रेड कर रहे हैं तो 1:1 पे आपको ट्रेल कर देनी चाहिए।
ओके ओके ओके।
रिवर्सल्स ट्रेड कर रहे हैं तो, अगर आप ट्रेंड के साथ आप पुलबैक ट्रेड कर रहे हैं तो प्रोबेबली यू माइट हैव टू ट्रेल इट लूजली। आई वुड नॉट सजेस्ट लाइक टाइट ट्रेलिंग।
Anki, you want to go next?
Yeah. Hi, Praful. Ankit here.
ए अंकित, फोन पे ना छोड़ के ट्विटर स्पेस पे आ रहा है।
अरे I was listening to you. You said that in Nifty you are using spot levels to put the SL. In Nifty also are you using spot levels or you are using premium SLs?
On Nifty पे it depends, man. It depends like whether whether you have to take into consideration the direction of IV expansion. अगर डाउनसाइड मार्केट आ रहा है एंड डाउनसाइड इज द डायरेक्शन ऑफ आईवी एक्सपेंशन, प्रोबेबली आप स्पॉट पे आप रखोगे, देन प्रोबेबली द ऑप्शंस विल बी ब्रीचिंग देयर स्विंग्स, एंड इट आल्सो डिपेंड्स ऑन व्हिच डे यू आर ट्रेडिंग ना। फॉर एग्जांपल फ्राइडे को,
so you are putting SL on premium, right? That SL is based on like 2x of the premium, or is it like
no, there is nothing like that. There is nothing like that. I'll be managing it. It depends on how much the realization that I've got from the call side, and whether I'm planning to risk it off or risk it on. So depending upon other things. So basically hard SLs नहीं रहते हैं. Usually मेरा adjustment रहता है.
Manpreet, you want to go next?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. प्रफुल्ल जी, मैं ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि आप निफ्टी जो ट्रायंगल में आप पोजीशन बनाते हैं वो बेस के हिसाब से, स्प्रेड्स के हिसाब से बनाते हैं तो फिर डेल्टा न्यूट्रल ही चलते हो? आई मीन फ्राइडे को इतने पॉइंट्स और मंडे को इतने पॉइंट्स, ट्यूसडे को डिफरेंट पॉइंट्स।
मैंने बताया ना, तो डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द आईवीज, अगर ओवरनाइट प्रीमियम क्रश बहुत ज्यादा हुआ है देन आई स्टार्ट विद अ रिस्क ऑफ पोजीशन, ठीक है। या सम डेज प्रोबेबली आई माइट स्किप आल्सो, बट व्हेन देयर इज अ गुड आईवी स्पाइक प्रोबेबली आई विल ट्राई टू टेक सम एडिशनल रिस्क, ठीक है। दिस इज द जनरल रूल ऑफ शॉर्ट वॉल। शॉर्ट वॉल में जब आईवीज आर ग्रेटर देन आरवी, यू विल ट्राई टू कैप्चर लाइक सम क्विक बक्स। इफ द आईवीज आर much lower than the RV, then probably you'll have to start off with a risk averse position. And आप नॉन डायरेक्शनल पूछ रहे हैं ना, तो मेरे ट्रेड में इफ आई एम ट्रेडिंग मैन्युअली, a tinge of directional bias is always there, and the directional bias is not the directional bias on the spot levels but the direction levels of the IV expansion.
Uki's trades. You want to go next?
Yes. Hi, Praful. Thanks for
Hi.
insightful insightful talk from you. मेरे दो तीन questions थे which already been answered. This is wonderful. Last question I really to ask that what does RV? Thanks.
Sorry, I think I lost you. Like, did you guys get his question? Anyone?
So greater than the RV.
Something's up with your.
Hello, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a
Yeah.
problem with your connection, sir.
So
Your
I'm
internet.
traveling. Might be because of that. So just wanted to ask that when you said that when you trade when IV greater than RV. So what is RV?
Again, we lost him, right?
I think he's asking when we are saying IV versus RV. What do you mean by RV? RV means
Correct.
realized volatility here, Ukis. Is that right?
Yes, it's realized volatility.
Hello.
Where I can check
Go
that
ahead.
RV.
Go
He's
ahead,
out of
Financial
reply.
Street.
हेलो हाय प्रफुल सर।
Hi.
मुझे पूछना था जैसे कि निफ्टी प्रीमियम का स्ट्रैडल है जो थर्सडे को ओपन होता है, लाइक आज 105 समथिंग पे ओपन हुआ था। तो मुझे पूछना था जैसे आपका बहुत एक्सपीरियंस है, वेरी न्यू लाइक 3-4 मंथ्स, तो क्या वो कितना मतलब प्रीमियम हो कि वो एक गुड रिस्क रिवॉर्ड होगा, लाइक 120, 30, 40?
See, it's not the absolute value of the premium, but it's the relation with how much the market is moving. अभी क्या हो रहा है? The supply side is kind of overcrowded. तो अभी क्या हो रहा है? Everyone has become an option seller and everyone is undercutting.
Yes, yes.
फॉर एग्जाम्पल लेट्स से आपके दुकान आपके गली में आपने चाय टपरी डाला है, ठीक है, आप 10 रुपए पे एक ग्लास चाय दे रहा है और लोगों को समझ आ गया कि अरे अरे चाय दुकान बहुत अच्छा चलता है कि मैं भी चाय दुकान डालने वाला हूँ। तो आप दूसरा टपरी आ गया, 10 रुपए की जगह वो 9 रुपए पे चाय बेचना शुरू कर दिया। तो ऐसे हो के क्या हो रहा है, जो नया वाला जो बंदा आ रहा है उसके पास ऑप्शन नहीं रहेगा बट टू सेल द चाय एट 6 rupees. Correct. This is what it is happening. Like everyone wants to sell the options, and everyone is coming and putting the orders at 9, 9, 9, 15, 916, 917, and because of which the IVs are significantly lower. And there is a reason behind it. अभी क्या हो गया है कि everyone knows the risk management. अभी basket orders आ चुके हैं and risk को mitigate करने का तरीके भी लोगों को पता चल चुका है, because of which there is an undercutting, because of which ऑप्शन प्राइसेस जो है काफी कम हो चुका है। द रियलाइज्ड वोलेटिलिटी इज मच मच हायर देन इम्प्लाइड वोलेटिलिटी। मेरे हिसाब से एनीथिंग अबव 130 इन द करंट regime, 130 to 140 should be a decent thing to trade. If it is somewhere around 160, jump right on.
Rajat Gupta, you want to go?
Yes. So, Praful sir, it was a wonderful session. I have been following you for quite some time. Actually, I'm also from NIT case, so you are kind of inspiration to become the full-time trader. So, I have a couple of questions for you. Yeah. So, one is, I am kind of option seller and mostly trades on Wednesday and Thursday. But what is happening with me, like you were mentioning, right? If you are drinking a lot and you don't know at which point you need to stop, right? So, I mean, if I give you an example, right? For the last 16 days, 13 times I was winning, 3 times I was losing. But my risk reward, as I calculated yesterday, it was pretty bad. Whenever I am losing almost 4 or 5 times what I'm earning on a regular day. So how should I decide the ideal risk reward? This is my first question.
So the ideal risk reward is, it depends on your trading style, right? So whether you are just like punching the trades with particular SL levels and particular target levels, then there is nothing much you can do. But for me, since I'm dynamically managing the risk, मैं मार्केट के साथ फाइट करता रहूंगा जब तक मेरा 2% या 1.5% रीच होना है। तो ये 1.5% मेरा रीच होगा प्रोबेबली 5 times out of 100 times. तो आई एम ओके विथ इट। एंड मेरा एवरेज विनर्स जो रहता है दैट इज ऑल्सो समवेयर अराउंड बिटवीन 1 to 1.5% on normal days, and whenever the IVs are at an elevated levels, probably it goes to up to 2.5%. तो you have to notice that आपने जो एग्जिट कर रहे हैं ट्रेड्स को, प्रॉफिट जो बना रहा है, क्या आप प्रॉफिट कमा के छोटा प्रॉफिट पे आप एग्जिट कर रहे हो या अब पूरा दिन रहने के बाद भी उतना ही प्रॉफिट आ रहा है, ठीक है। केस वन, इफ यू आर एग्जिटिंग इट अर्ली, इट्स बिकॉज यू आर अनेबल टू होल्ड ऑन टू द ट्रेड्स, करेक्ट। आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा कि चलो जब डीके मिल रहा है तो हाउ हाउ कैन आई मैक्सिमाइज दैट। नाउ दैट योर विनर्स गो अप, रिस्क रिवॉर्ड ऑटोमेटिकली गेट्स टेकन केयर। अगर आप लेट्स से पूरे दिन रहने के बाद भी मार्केट सिर्फ उतना ही दे रहा है, देन यू हैव टू मैनेज ऑन द रिस्क साइड। मतलब जिस दिन मैं लॉस ले रहा हूं, अगर मार्केट के पास प्रीमियम बचा ही मेरे को 15 पॉइंट देने के लिए दिन में, तो इट डजेंट मेक सेंस for me to take a 30 point loss when I'm taking a loss. Correct. But let's say you're cutting your position at 15 points, but the market still has a potential to give another 10 points, then you have to work on managing your winners. But if the market has maxed out giving its DK for the day, since you're on an option selling side, then you have to think of reducing your losses. You have to work on the risk side.
Cool. Praful, let me know, man, when you get tired, because यहाँ पे तो line लंबी बने जा रही है, ठीक है ना? I'm happy to keep going as long as you're happy to keep going. ठीक है?
Yeah, sure.
Abhay, you wanna go?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, hi Raghav, hi Praful. How are you?
Good man.
So Praful, I heard you talking about you running your algos and mentioning that you basically decide every day if there's an overnight crush, then if there's too much of an overnight crush, you don't enter. So you take
Yes.
that decision on your algo every day. That is my
Yes,
first
I do.
question.
Yes, I do.
Okay,
No,
and
whenever
second,
you have multiple questions, now like 1 second. Whenever you have multiple questions, let ask one question. Let me answer that, and then we'll move to the
yeah,
second question. Or else मेरा second question भूल जाता है मेरे को.
Sure, no problem. So that was question number one. Secondly, how do you position size on different days? Because on a Thursday, you work with 10, 12 rupees premium on either side on a strangle. And the same thing on a Friday is around 20, 30 rupees, depending upon the 10 delta that you're working with. So how do you position size on these days?
I think I answered it on one of a guy's questions here. So I would go unhedged on the non-expiry days, and I would go hedged on expiry days. Before I used to go hedged on Wednesdays as well, but Wednesdays have not been so profitable on the short wall side lately because of a lot of events that are lined up, especially on Wednesdays. So Wednesday भी मेरा risk थोड़ा कम है. Only on Thursdays I'll go hedged. तो हेजिंग बेनिफिट से जितना जितना आता है मेरे को क्वांटिटी वो मैं डाल देता हूँ. एंड अगर अनहेज जाता हूँ तो 1.3 lakhs और whatever 1.3 1.4 lakhs per lot of strangle.
Lal, you want to go next?
Yeah, Praful ji, good evening. Thanks for the chance to speak. Praful ji, just wanted to ask, as you said that a lot of people are getting into strangle, straddle with set stop loss, and there are a lot of backtest platforms as well, which is giving you data. What will happen to the edge that was there in the past, maybe after a couple of years? Like, who will essentially lose the money?
See, the first thing is who will essentially lose the money nahi hai. Most of the things, if you're on the short side, and especially if your alpha is coming on expiry days and 1DT kind of thing, so it will still have a positive expectancy, but it starts giving you more and more pain. Okay, so this is my observation, this is my hypothesis. I might be completely wrong here, but this is what I believe. जब लोग continuously see, it is logical that once the alpha gets leaked to a lot of people, then more and more people will come and the alpha starts to decrease. And when I say the alpha starts to decrease, it just means that the returns go down and the drawdowns increase, which gets reflected in your RMDD. मतलब आप कितना पोर्टफोलियो के रिस्क पे कितना प्रॉफिट बना सकते थे, that goes significantly down. Now, for example, if I ask you, now you have done your back test, let's say like the back test result has shown you that okay bro, साल में 50% बनेगा with around 5% drawdown, तो you'll be very happy. But अगर एक साल में आपका बना 25% after slippage, after impact cost, everything, with around 7% drawdown or something, आप बोलोगे अरे यार इतना drawdown झेल के 25% क्यों बनाना है, चलो I'll find out something else. Correct. So this is what happens. And it first thing is like people who have started on a very bad note. I mean, usually जो लोग start करते हैं और immediately उनका drawdown शुरू हो जाता है, those are the first people who would stop trusting the system and who would start to jump. जिनका already एक profit buffer बना है, they'll stay in it for a longer period of time. But again, see, any strategy, all they need is like some tweaks, as I said. ठीक है, थोड़ा ट्वीक्स बनाएंगे तो उस मार्केट रेजिम में वो काम कर लेगा. बट अगेन it has to be discretionary to understand, okay, what market regime is this. If you notice, like, I'm not so experienced trader, but people like I don't want to take names, but people who have like experience of more than 10-12 years or something, they'll clearly say that, bro, this is hell on rise market, every pullback I'll sell. तो ये कैसे आता है? दे माइट बी रॉन्ग. उनका जब जाता है, लॉस जाता है, तो उनका रिस्क रिवॉर्ड के हिसाब से वो सब सेट रहता है उनका, बिकॉज लाइक दे हैव बीन इन द ट्रेडिंग बिजनेस, बिकॉज दे हैव फिगर्ड आउट ऑल दोस थिंग्स. बट दैट मार्केट रेजिम का जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग जो है, दैट हैज टू बी डिस्क्रिशनरी, आई बिलीव.
Deepak?
Yeah, hi Praful.
Hi.
So I've been watching you for last 6-7 months. Your videos also. I just want to ask whether you sell strangles and then you keep stop losses, hard stop losses in the system, or you keep close hedges and you actively manage your positions.
Since I'm trading on intraday, the hedges are only for margin benefit and they don't act as actual hedges, first thing.
Okay.
And the second thing is, I don't keep hard stop losses 90% of the time. Only I'll keep stop losses post 3 o'clock, where navigating these gamma moves gets difficult. So I want to get out at my stipulated price. So only those places, like, I keep hard stop losses, unless I don't keep hard stop losses.
Nagarjuna, you want to go? Sahil, you want to go?
प्रफुल सर, मेरे को ये पूछना था, आपकी व्यू में प्रो ट्रेडर की डेफिनेशन क्या है, कि कितने साल तक बंदा प्रॉफिटेबल हो तो उसको बोलेंगे कि ये मतलब एक प्रो ट्रेडर?
I know people who have been profitable from day one. ठीक है, तो फॉर एग्जाम्पल, लाइक लेट्स से, लाइक आप अभी आए हैं मार्केट में एंड आपको पता चला कि ऐसे सिस्टम ट्रेडिंग करके कुछ नाम का चीज है. आपको पता है कि AlgoTest का नाम का प्लेटफॉर्म है, एल्गो वहां पे बैक टेस्ट कर सकता है. आपने कुछ बैक टेस्ट किए, ठीक ठाक रिजल्ट आया, आप पे चलाए. इट्स अनलाइकली दैट इट स्टॉप्स वर्किंग. इट माइट गिव लेसर रिटर्न देन व्हाट हैज बीन शोन इन द बैक टेस्ट. इट माइट गिव लिटिल हायर ड्रॉडाउन्स, बट वो पॉजिटिव एक्सपेक्टेंसी जाने के लिए काफी काफी टाइम लगने वाला है. ठीक है, इट्स नॉट गोना गो इन जस्ट अ मंथ और 2. एक पॉजिटिव एक्सपेक्टेंसी सिस्टम मार्केट से पूरा नेगेटिव एक्सपेक्टेंसी सिस्टम बनाने के लिए टाइम लगने वाला है. तो इफ यू स्टार्ट ऑफ विद दिस नोट, ठीक है, तो आप डे वन से प्रॉफिटेबल बन सकते हैं, बट आपका लर्निंग कर्व कम हो जाएगा. तो इफ यू डू डिस्क्रिशनरी ट्रेडिंग, आप स्टार्टिंग में थोड़ा मतलब रगड़ना पड़ता है, बट यू विल गेट अ लॉट ऑफ एक्सपीरियंस अंडर योर बेल्ट, स्क्रीन टाइम अंडर योर बेल्ट. सो यू विल प्रोबेबली एक साल एक साल मेहनत करने के बाद probably you might become profitable trader. Again, it depends ना. Again, it depends on what is the premise of you starting trading. अगर आप एक desperate position से आप trading start कर रहे हो, सिर्फ पैसे बनाने के, immediate पैसे बनाने के लिए, probably will blow up account 5 times. But आप एक non desperate position से आप trading start किए हैं, probably will blow up account only once. So there are a lot of factors. Like, I can't give you like a very hard and fast answer here. So depends. Like, there are people like who have not been profitable even after 10 years of trading, and there are people who have been profitable from right from day one.
Game of stocks.
Yeah, hi Praful. I am a big follower of you, and basically मैं ये पूछना चाहता था कि for example I have made an algo and on Opstra I have backtested it manually, but I am deploying it regularly on for forward testing, but I want to test it for like 5 years data. How can I do that?
There are a lot of backtesting platforms ना. AlgoTest है, बाकी सारे platforms है, so you can do that. But if your system is a little complicated, and if the standard custom backtesting engines cannot serve the purpose of your backtesting, then probably you have to use your own Python script.
Yeah, actually it's fully automated, but I don't know how to get the data and put it in.
I think that if you have zero knowledge about coding, then probably it will take a year or 2 to get some grip.
No. Actually, I am a software developer. It's fully automated, fully like done. But the data part, like to get the data and encode it into the system. That is missing.
You want the
For that,
live prices?
yes, for live price, and yeah, for live price, yes.
Broker API, bro. So who is your broker?
Zerodha.
So Zerodha offers you their API, 2,000 rupees a month.
No. That I'm using. That I'm using for forward testing.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm using that and deploying it every day. But for example, I want to test it on the last Thursday. How would it perform from morning to evening? Then how can I do that?
So it's against Zerodha's policy actually, but what you can do is you can probably record those prices that you're receiving programmatically in a file, and then use that file as an input where you read that file and you direct the price packets into your algorithm. If you can do it programmatically, it seems like you are a software engineer. You can do that, but it's against Zerodha's policy. So what I would suggest is you would probably require some kind of a the correct way to go about it would be you would require some
Data
kind of
vendor.
a
Data vendor,
license
basically.
Okay. I think I got your point.
from like a vendor or something, right? That's
Okay.
the official answer.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Praful. Thanks, Raghav.
Mayur, yep. Mayur, you want to go next?
Yeah, hello. Hi, Raghav. Hi, Praful. So I have question for both of you. Uh, since you have more than, let's say, 50 lakhs of capital, why don't you join a prop desk? That is question for the Praful. And for the Raghav, uh, how much difference is there for a prop trade versus a retail when it comes to algo trading, especially when it comes to the slippages? Thanks.
I think, do we have Arshit here? Arshit joined हुआ था. I think मैंने उसका नाम देखा था. I think he would be a better person to answer this question because he actually works in a prop desk. So, see, just to give you the answer with my limited knowledge, yes, I mean, the colo रहता है prop desks के पास, तो obviously your impact cost goes down drastically, and the brokerage नहीं रहता है. That is also an add-on.
They still get leverage. That's a big point. Like
No, that
5x.
leverage is not free, na. That leverage is not free. Depending upon the deal you make, either you're paying like 12, 13% per annum, or you'll be getting like 50% of your profits, 30% of your profits. Some deal तो रहेगा ही. It's not see. Every prop desk wants to make 15%. ठीक है? कुछ भी हो. If that 15% has to come from the interest that you're paying, or the 15% has to come from the part of your interest and part of your profit sharing, or the 50% has to come from purely the profits that you're going to share, it depends. Okay? But they want to make sure they make 15% on the margin that they're providing you. Okay? It's not free.
Okay.
So it depends on what kind of deal you want to make with the prop desk. For example, अगर तुम्हारा trading का alpha बहुत ज़्यादा है, let's say you're making 150% returns in a year, तो probably you'll go with अरे भाई मैं तो तुमको साल का 12% दे देता हूँ, तुम मुझे बस margin दे दो, कोई profit sharing नहीं रहने वाला है. But let's say you're just making around 30% or something. Probably you'd say that, okay, I'll give like 6% per annum and then I'll give like 30, 70 profit sharing or something. So you can make the deals with the prop desks. But again, it depends on where you stand.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I've actually dealt with a few prop desks as well, and it's like you can sort of break it down into a function of demand and supply. Okay? If you have a strategy.
One second, Raghav, Arshit came here. I think like Arshit would answer this. Arshit,
request yourself to be a speaker, Arshit. I can't. अच्छा मिल गया Arshit, रुको. I'll make him a speaker. Invite to speak. I've sent you an invitation, Arshit.
Am I audible?
Hey, Arshit. Yeah, we can hear you. So somebody had asked a question about prop desk around what is the minimum capital required and how much capital can actually be staked, what kind of leverage, किस type की leverage मिल सकती है prop desk पे. तो
Okay, understood.
we realize there's nobody better to answer this than you. So go ahead, bro.
Okay. So first of all, see, minimum capital, I would say 25 lakhs would be suggested capital. I'll still suggest 40 lakhs, but 25 would be bare minimum. And
तो capital अपना खुद
हाँ, capital जो होता है ना, for example 25 lakhs है, that would be yours. एंड प्रॉप डेस्क क्या करेगा, उसके ऊपर आपको लिवरेज देगा. सो फॉर एग्जांपल बहुत सारी डील्स अलग अलग होती है. जनरली जो डील चलती है एज ऑफ नाउ वो 5x है. सो फॉर एग्जांपल यू आर ब्रिंगिंग 25 lakhs, then you will be having limit of 1.25 CR into your particular account.
And what do you pay any interest, or rather, do you pay any interest on that 125 or no? It's just तुम अपना capital है, capital आपका पड़ा है वहाँ पे.
Interest में, yeah, interest में, if you are doing intraday, then it is a 4% or 6% per annum, depending on the volume you are doing. If you are like doing with quite good quantity or quite good volume, then the interest rate would be lower. For us, it is a 4% per annum. If it is an intraday, and if it is a positional, it is a 12% per annum.
What is the means of providing them the 25 lakhs? Like, how does that work? Is it a bank transfer, or is it a मतलब check काट के दे दिया उन्होंने, वो नहीं किया, withdraw नहीं किया? How does that work?
Yeah, it's actually bank transfer that need to be done in a props account. It acts as a security. Like in any case, like you are losing, for example, some amount, then there will be like squaring of your all positions. For example, you are like, for example, then they are having something as a deposit, right?
Fair enough. It's like collateral हो गया.
Yeah, exactly. So like 25% अगर लॉस होता है तभी भी वो लोग रिड्यूस कर देते हैं, मुझे आपकी लिमिट हो सब. So 70% तो बहुत दूर की बात है, बट बाई चांस कुछ भी हो गया, वो मतलब लाइक इट कुड बी अ टेक्निकल इशू, इट कुड बी कॉल की वजह पुट हो गया, कुछ भी हो गया. एक बार आई रिमेम्बर मितेश पटेल उसका फैट फिंगर एरर हो गया था 4 करोड़ का. तो कुछ भी हो सकता है. तो कुछ भी हो गया तो वो बाय डिफॉल्ट 70% स्क्वायर ऑफ जो है बिल्ट इन रहता है.
Fair enough. You see, you want to go next?
प्रफुल भाई, फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल यार थैंक यू बोलना चाहता हूँ आपको भी और श्रेयस भाई को भी. बोथ ऑफ यू इंस्पायर्स अ लॉट यार. हाँ, तो यू एंड श्रेयस बोथ आर नोन फॉर द रिस्क मैनेजमेंट. सो मेरा सिर्फ यही क्वेश्चन है, अगर आपके दिमाग में क्या कभी ये क्वेश्चन आया है कि एनएससी शट डाउन हो गया और उसके बाद गैप डाउन हो गया, तो हाउ वुड यू सी लाइक दैट?
भाई देखो, सीट बेल्ट लगाना हमारा काम है, हेलमेट लगाना हमारा काम है. अगर स्टेयरिंग ही छाती में घुस गया तो कुछ नहीं कर सकते, ठीक है. तो it's quite possible कि you are walking on the footpath and probably you might get hit by a truck. Correct. There is a probability of that too. तो आप लोग इस डर में तो नहीं जी सकते. करेक्ट. हो सकता है कि कल वॉर ब्रेकआउट हो जाए एंड प्रोबेबली ऑल योर बैंक अकाउंट्स गेट फ्रीज्ड बाय द गवर्नमेंट. कुछ भी हो सकता है, राइट. वो ख्याल आता है दिमाग में, यस एनएससी शटडाउन हुआ तो क्या होगा. इट्स ऑलवेज देयर एट द बैक ऑफ द माइंड. बट अगेन, इवन इफ समथिंग हैपेंस, अगर एनएससी शटडाउन भी होगा ना, शटडाउन होने से हमारा लॉस नहीं होता है. शटडाउन होके एक सर्किट लगना चाहिए. शटडाउन होके एक सर्किट लगेगा, तब हमारा लॉस होगा सम 20% और 25% ऑफ द कैपिटल, विच इज अगेन रिकवरेबल इन 6 months. है कि नहीं?
Yeah, you worry about the risks that you can manage. You know, the risks that
Yeah,
you can't manage.
you just have to think about the things that are in your control, man. Like, I mean,
class.
Manoj, you want to go next?
Yeah, hi, Praful. I'm just a big follower of yourself and Shreyas. I've been following from your YouTube channels. There is 2 questions from my end. Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Praful, what is your opinion and what is your stand on positional traders on strangles? And this is the first question.
The first, to answer your question, purely non-directional strangles, I think they have lost their edge. Okay, for example, I was discussing with one of my friends कि जो iron condor करते हैं positional basis पे, तो they have lost their edge. If you're trading strangles positionally, you need to either have some directional bias in them, or you need to have like hit or stop kind of a trade, hit or miss kind of a trade. For example, आपने एक tight iron condor बना है एंड आपको छोड़ देना चाहिए कि कुछ भी होने दो, आप एडजस्ट नहीं करना चाहिए. बिकॉज इन दिस मार्केट व्हाट इज हैपनिंग इज, आप कोई कहां पे भी आयरन कॉन्डर बनाओ, द मार्केट विल टेस्ट बोथ द साइड्स.
Yeah.
करेक्ट. Sometimes it might
Yeah.
happen intraday also with this
Yeah.
market. So either you have to do that, or if you're trading positionally, you have to manage using your position size. आप मनी मैनेजमेंट के थ्रू आप मैनेज कर सकते हैं, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट के थ्रू आप मैनेज नहीं कर सकते, बिकॉज सिंस यू आर टेकिंग पोजिशनल, रिस्क मैनेजमेंट तो आपके कंट्रोल में है ही नहीं. आप जहां पे हेजेस बाई करेंगे, कल मार्केट कहां पे भी होगा, आपका हेजेस एंड माइनस द शॉर्ट लेग जितना है उतना आपको लॉस लेना ही है. तो दैट
Yeah.
इज रिस्क मैनेजमेंट. आपने रिस्क मैनेजमेंट जहां पे आप हेजेस बाई करोगे वहां पे खत्म हो गया. तो where you can actually make some difference is through your money management principles. आप इनिशियली कितने डिप्लॉय करोगे, देन आप फॉर एग्जांपल एक सपोर्ट ब्रेक हो गया, उस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे आप कुछ डायरेक्शनल बायस रख के क्या एडिशनल कैपिटल कहां पे डिप्लॉय करोगे. इफ द पोजीशन इज इन प्रॉफिट, वेदर यू आर डिप्लॉइंग मोर कैपिटल और नॉट. इफ द पोजीशन इज completely against you, then what are you going to do? Are you trying to recover the loss from selling far out of the money options from other side? So many things can be done. Or you're opening another iron fly at the current spot level, whatever it is. So most of the positional game is in money management and not in the risk management.
Okay. Praful, second question is, what about your opinion on earlier used to in one of your video? I had seen this next monthly straddle hedging with other monthly. Uh, Next, for example, this week is the current. Will be making a strangle and will be supporting buying in the next next week.
You're
Prices.
talking about calendars basically.
Yeah, calendar. Sorry, yeah, it's a calendar spread.
Okay.
Whether you are doing this also in an algo or it's like you are doing by yourself. Whether you have recently done it.
No, the
Because I
thing
not
is,
able to see any post
when
related
you
to you.
okay, I got your question. See, our algos are purely intraday algos, ठीक है? And calendar का nature कैसा रहता है calendar trades का? Their MTMs are pretty slow, both on the negative side and both on the positive side. ठीक है? आपका MTM कुछ intraday में कुछ realize नहीं होने वाला है calendar position पे. You have to carry them till 1 DTE or at least till 2 DTE. तो तभी कैलेंडर से कुछ आपका मतलब बनता है. तो इंट्राडे में कैलेंडर करना, आई डोंट थिंक इट्स अ गुड आइडिया. तो we don't trade calendars. We trade like normal weekly strangles. At least for intraday. I mean, calendars have their uses positionally, but intraday में आपका realization कुछ ज्यादा नहीं होता है calendars में.
जो geek समझता है उसके लिए what I'll say is calendar, depending on whether you make a short calendar or a long calendar, ends up being either a more often than not a gamma trade or a vega trade. So just to add to what Praful said. Shiva, you want to go next?
Raghav, we'll take last 3 questions.
Chalo, ठीक है. Last 3 questions we'll do.
This is a question for the Arshid. How much slippages you see in prop versus the retail? Do you have any experience about that? And for the Praful, I have experience of 1 year of trading, and for the past 6 months, I'm making somewhere around 7 to 8% per month. And when should I consider asking for more capital from other people? Like, is there some stage like I should consider? That's it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll go first, Harshit. ठीक है, मैं पहले आंसर करता हूँ. See, again, like it depends on your base capital. ठीक है, आप कितना कैपिटल पे आप ट्रेड कर रहे हो, बिकॉज generating capital on 5, 10 lakh, 7, 8% generate करना, it's a completely different thing. I won't say it's easy. I'd say it's a completely different thing when returning the same kind of a return on a bigger capital. And the second thing comes is whether your strategies are scalable to accept more money. Right? Most of the people पैसे देने के लिए तैयार है, बट क्या आपका स्ट्रैटेजी, आपका सेटअप उतना कैपिटल को अब्सॉर्ब कर पाएगा? बिकॉज बड़े कैपिटल पे गेम कुछ अलग ही हो जाता है. इट्स मोर अबाउट एग्जीक्यूशन फ्रंट. स्ट्रैटेजी से ज्यादा एग्जीक्यूशन फ्रंट पे आपको काम करना पड़ता है. तो व्हेन यू आर सेइंग लाइक यू आर मेकिंग 7 to 8%, एब्सोल्युटली गुड. देयर इज नो डाउट अबाउट इट. बट व्हेन यू आर टेकिंग समवन एल्सेस मनी, it depends on like how much accountability you want to own, because it's other people's money, man. I mean, as I'd be like twice more careful when I'm handling other people's money. And also, as I said, like you have to check whether the strategy is scalable. If yes, then to what extent your strategy is scalable? Because let's say आप कुछ strategy बना रहे हो and let's say आपका 1 करोड़ या 1.5 करोड़ या 2 करोड़ के बाद आपका slippage जैसी मतलब 3, 4, 5 पॉइंट का मिल रहा है, then it doesn't make sense to scale to that extent.
अर्शद वो स्लिपेज का आंसर देना आप?
या ओके या हाँ हाँ मैं बता रहा हूँ जैसे प्रफुल भाई ने इट ऑल्सो डिपेंड्स ऑन द कैपिटल सो तो स्लिपेजेस बहुत मिनिमल थे बट डेफिनेटली हैविंग को लोकेशन गिव्स एंड टू द सम एक्सटेंट एडवांटेज बट लेस स्लिपेजेस होते नो स्लिपेजेस को लोकेशन को मिला के भी नहीं होते टू बी वेरी ऑनेस्ट विद यू सो जो भी हमें बैक टेस्ट में दिखा था हम कंसिडर करते हैं उसका 60% 70% बिकॉज समटाइम्स देयर विल बी सम इश्यू एट को लोकेशन लेवल एज वेल एंड सम अल्गो एग्जीक्यूशन कुछ एरर और कुछ आ गया सो मल्टीपल इश्यूज आते हैं बट स्लिपेज रिटर्न के कंपैरिजन में बहुत कम होते हैं as such quantify नहीं कर सकता because it depends and varies from capital to capital and volume to volume. But yeah, definitely it would be less as you are paying some extra cost to that. So it will be making sense only when you are having large capital, I would say.
Arshit, quantify large capital here for him, for everyone.
Large capital basically means for me, I would say it would be around 20-25 years. Large capital means decent capital, I would say, not large.
That's why I wanted you to quantify that.
Yeah. I mean, 20-25 year is decent one. So with that, if we are going, then definitely we need to, work more on the execution part rather than strategy. Even today also, we are like paying less this attention to strategy. Definitely, strategy is important. But after one strategy has been, like defined, more things need to be focused on this execution part. So strategy is just 30%. I get a lot of DM about strategy, like what's your strategy? ये share कर दो, वो share कर दो. But it's the 30-40% part. Other than that, psychology comes into the picture. This execution comes into this picture. So yeah.
Amrit, last question. Let's make it count, man. Ask a hard one, but a good one.
Yeah, sure. I'll try. Praful sir, so I have been following you for 4 months now. I guess you know me. So I have been doing Strangle for 4 months, and this month I came to profitability. But the thing I wanted to know is how do you find the ways to make that new tweaks in the intraday Strangle? How do you decide that? So this is the new thing that I can do in the next day, and it will be better. How do you know that this is a tweak, and how do you find the new ones?
It's based on your market observation, man. Agar, for example, see, everyone, whatever the reality is, that reality passes through your own lens and you interpret it in a particular way. Correct? सामने आपके जो भी चीजें हो रही है आप आपके लेंस के थ्रू देख के आप उसको इंटरप्रेट करोगे तो मेरा इंटरप्रिटेशन जो है और आपका इंटरप्रिटेशन जो है कंप्लीटली डिफरेंट होता है तो मैं मार्केट में कुछ मतलब मैं ऑब्जर्व कर रहा हूं तो आई बी ऑब्जर्विंग दैट थ्रू माई लेंस तो उसमें मेरे को कुछ मिल जाए it doesn't mean that you won't get it. Probably you might get something which is 10 times better than mine. So it has to be, it is just a trial and error process. There is no like 10-step rule, 7-step rule to nahi hai.
Awesome, man. Awesome. This was a phenomenal space, man. At least for guys like us, purely systematic guys like us who've always been systematic, it's amazing to see what you guys have accomplished on the discretionary side, and also just the process. Like the process is so rational and logical. So it's been a phenomenal space for us, man. ये तो I'm going to listen to this again and again, and I'm going to probably irritate you with some questions here and there as well from now onwards, Praful. So just warning you on that front. Thanks again, guys. Thanks again, everybody, for coming. Praful, parting words देने हैं तो दे दो यार कुछ.
Parting words क्या दो यार अभी टाइम हुआ है सब खाना खा के अच्छे से सो जाओ. Don't compromise on sleep. That's all.
ठीक है. So okay, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Praful, for
dreams.
coming.
Thanks
And
for having
just
me, guys. Thanks for having me.
another
Thanks a lot, everyone.
request: if you guys really like these spaces, please do comment. There'll be a recording on our profile. I'll pin it tomorrow morning, and just DM us and just give us comments on how we can make this better. I really enjoyed it. I'm sure you guys did too. And thanks a lot for coming. Thank you, Prafulji. Thank you, Arshid.
Yeah, let us know who else would like to come. Arshid, पिछली बार आप गोली दे गए थे, आपको लेके आना है हमने वैसे.
Sorry, yaar. For some like reason, I couldn't join on that particular day. But sure, we'll plan some next time. Sure.
चलो पकड़ेंगे आपको फिर,
Oh,
ठीक है?
sorry for that.
No worries, no worries. चलो, all right. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.
Thank
Awesome
you.
talk. Recording मिल जाएगी इसकी यहाँ पे 1-2 दिन में. Thanks again, guys. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.